Have you ever had that feeling where the news is saying the economy is great, but your bank account just isn't feeling it? You're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to put a name to that exact feeling. I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? You see all these headlines screaming about growth and record highs, but when you actually look at your own budget, something just feels off. It doesn't quite add up. This quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that strange feeling. And if you're feeling it, trust me, you're not imagining things. There's a real name for this disconnect between the official story and your day-to-day reality. So what is the diagnosis here? Well, the term that really gives a name to this widespread feeling is the silent recession. Okay, so here's the most important part to understand. This is not a technical recession that economists talk about on TV. Think of it more as a kitchen table recession. It's a recession that's felt when you're paying your bills, where the big picture numbers look okay, but your wallet is telling a completely different story. And this slide really breaks down that difference. An official recession, that's all about a big abstract number, gross domestic product. But a silent recession, that's about your personal GDP, your ability to actually afford your life and feel financially stable. So if the official numbers aren't telling the whole story, where do we look? Well, let's put on our detective hats for a minute and look at 3 very clear signs that this silent recession is actually happening. All right, sign number 1 is all about how people are spending their money. It's not that spending is just stopped, not at all, but the way people are spending has fundamentally shifted. It's something called the trade down. You know what I'm talking about. People are switching from the name brands to the store labels. They're eating out less. They're swapping big vacations for staycations. And get this, when a company like Walmart starts reporting record profits, it's not always a sign of a strong economy. A lot of the time, it's a huge red flag that millions of people are being forced to trade down. So, how is all this spending being paid for? Well, a lot of it is on credit. In the US, credit card debt has soared past $1.2 trillion. Let that sink in. This isn't spending that's fueled by wealth. For a lot of people, it's spending fueled by necessity just to cover the bills each month. Now let's get to our second piece of evidence, because this one's a biggie. We hear all the time about how low unemployment is, but that headline number, well, it's kind of hiding a much tougher reality for a lot of workers. Just look at this number, 8.4 million. That's how many Americans are working multiple jobs. Now, in the official data, that might look like strong job growth. But in reality, it often represents one person struggling to piece together an income with 2 or maybe even 3 different jobs. So while we can celebrate low unemployment, we really have to ask, what kinds of jobs are we talking about here? A huge chunk of them are part-time, they're contract work, or they're gig economy roles like DoorDash. Jobs that people are taking not because they want to, but because a single full-time salary just doesn't stretch far enough anymore. And that brings us to our third and final sign. And this one is happening right on Main Street. Small businesses, the real backbone of our local communities, they are struggling. And a lot of them are quietly disappearing. And why does this matter so much? Well, take a look. Small businesses employ nearly half of all private sector workers. So when that local coffee shop or the neighborhood hardware store closes down, it's not just a sad story. It's a major warning flare, a leading indicator of future economic pain that's going to show up in the national statistics just a few months down the line. Okay, so we've seen the symptoms, right? We've looked at the evidence. But what's the underlying cause of all this? For that, we need to zoom out, way beyond Wall Street, and start looking at the global stage. And here's the crucial thing to realize. This silent recession isn't just a normal economic cycle. It's being driven, in a big way, by geopolitical decisions. Specifically, we're talking about the ongoing economic tug-of-war between the world's 2 biggest economies, the United States and China. And you can literally see the domino effect right here. It really kicked off with the trade war and tariffs, which act like a silent tax on everything you buy, making it more expensive. Then bam, COVID comes along and just shatters supply chains, which pushes prices even higher. So in response, central banks jacked up interest rates, making it more expensive to buy a house or for a business to grow. Each step just squeezed the economy a little bit more, and that's what's led us to where we are today. So after all of that, we get to the most important question of all. What can you actually do about it? Let's move from just diagnosing the problem to some practical steps you can take to prepare and protect yourself. Okay, let's walk through 4 key things. First, build up your financial buffer. An emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of expenses is absolutely critical when things feel uncertain. Second, attack that high interest debt, especially on credit cards, because it just eats away at your money. Third, invest in your single greatest asset, you. Build up skills, especially ones that are hard to automate. And finally, try to keep some perspective. Remember, economic cycles are temporary. Being prepared is always your best defense. This whole situation isn't just some random accident. It kind of leads to one last really provocative question to think about. When the official story is one of growth, but the reality for millions of people is a daily struggle, who really benefits when a recession stays silent?